the bottom line is that collaboration, and you've been doing that a lot longer than a lot of other people as an athlete. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I don't think we highlight enough, you know, as an athlete going into corporate workplace. Sometimes it doesn't even come top of mind to the person that's interviewing you. But when you highlight that in an interview, that really helps you stand out, because although you may be young and you don't have a lot of corporate experience, you're like, hey, but I've been working on teams since I was 9 years old, mm-hmm. working on to achieve one goal. And if you became a captain or you led that team, that's even better, because now you like, yeah, I had people who reported to me, if you will.
What's going on, everybody? It's Coach Dom.
Hey, yo, this is Coach A.
And welcome back to the Players in Transition podcast. Today we got a special guest, the boy Ev. Tell him who he is, Ed.
Yes, sir. We got my boy Evan Shields. He come from the hometown, D.C. Went to the rival high school, but that's all right. But since then, man, Ev, you know, he went on to play college ball. He went on and took multiple sales positions after that, and also got into social media and marketing. And that's currently where he is right now. He actually also has a fitness page going on. So we'll go ahead and give you the link for that at the end, a little plug and all that at the end of this show. But without further ado, what's going on, bro?
What's going on? What's going on? How y'all, man?
Hey, man, we can't call it, man. We can't call it. Just a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
He got his light skin eyes on right now. Yeah, look, why? You know, I'll be trying to keep wide over there too.
Hey, man, look, man, it's a beautiful thing, man.
Light skin eyes is funny.
Great looking black men, man. You gotta embrace it. You gotta embrace it.
You know.
Hey, I be putting mine on too sometimes, but you know, today I'm all alone. I ain't gotta sleep.
Yeah, we recording on a little special day. You know, we getting it done.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah, man.
Let's get a transition. You know, every episode we love the quotes. You know, quotes help us grow. You know what I'm saying? So with you know this episode, nothing changes. You know, Ed got the quote for you, and with that quote, after he says it, he's gonna ask you to unpack it, and then you just elaborate on how you feel, whatever you say. You know what I'm saying? What that quote did for you in that moment.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, so today's quote comes from, in my opinion, the great captain, Derek Jeter, man. Stand-up dude. I ain't gonna get too far into that. Look up Derek Jeter for those of whom watching if you don't know who he is. But he said one time, there may be people that have more talent than you, but there's no excuse for anyone to work harder than you do. That's Derek Jeter. That's something I picked out for Evan for myself. We're gonna let him unpack it, but once he does, I'll explain why I chose it. So go ahead.
Yeah, that's a powerful quote. I just think it means like control what you can control. A lot of times we focus on things that are out of our control, but everything that you can control, there's no excuse for you not to control it. You can't control the weather. If it rains, if it's a sunny day, but that don't mean that you can't go outside and get that extra footwork in. That don't mean you can't go and work on that sales presentation. Whatever it is, whatever you can control it. That's kind of that's what that means to me. And I think that's a powerful lens to take on to your life, because it puts you in the driver's seat. You can't blame nobody but yourself when you take on that control, when you take on that hard work, you take on everything that you can control and put it in a way where you can succeed. So that's kind of what that means to me.
Exactly. Nah, for sure. For me, I took that for you because ever since I know you put in 100. You worked hard. You know, you played in not only one of the best conferences athletically in the area, but you also went to one of the best schools in the area and arguably the country. Then you went on to play Division I ball at the highest level at a school that wasn't in the Division I-A categories in the subcategory, and you still worked hard enough to give your time to go into the NFL, you know, and then even within that, you've then crafted out a space of your own within the social media, which you'll get into over throughout your career now, fitness. So there's just always something in which you're working. And that's just why, you know, with that quote, that's why I picked that one up. You know what I mean?
Appreciate that.
No doubt. We lift up kings.
Yeah,
that was a great little pitch, a little honor.
You know,
yeah, well,
medal. You know what I
Like,
mean?
dang,
Feel like you're bringing a trophy out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
I said, hey, it's so that's important that we give each other
flowers today. It's like, no.
Yeah, give each other, the flowers while we still alive instead of, once we're all gone. So I appreciate that, even though it wasn't even said about me.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm trying to do, man. I think it's important for people in their transitions to as you see people, man, go ahead, big them up. It's not taking no scratch off your back. You know what I mean? No money out your pocket to give somebody the truth. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say it if it wasn't real. We just get into it. Not saying that any of our other guests haven't, but I'm just saying, I want to make sure I give people those bits. You know what I mean? When I can. So
I want to chime in on that real fast though, because I thought that like during my transition, I thought that was like a very important thing, like having that support system. People telling you like, hey man, if you can succeed in sports, you can succeed in the corporate world or whatever you want to do. People believing in you. And when you see somebody in that transition, definitely remind them that, hey man, sports is not the end all be all. If you were able to be successful there, you can be successful in other aspects of life. You just take those same principles and you apply it to whatever you're trying to do. So I think like what you mentioned, like when the athlete's in transition or if somebody going through a rough patch, just reminding them, people around them, remind them of who they are, or who you see them to be. That encouragement is definitely something that's needed.
Big facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
The key there, the key word that you mentioned, was principles. You know what I'm saying? We all carry that everything carries a process, right? And within that process, there's certain principles that you have to abide by when you're trying to progress in whatever you're doing. And a lot of those principles and skills of whatnot transition. Those are transferable skills that we neglect to remember or believe that they're easy to implement in doing something else. Right. So, that's one thing that, this podcast was built off of. And even just the platform itself is just like, don't think that you've really lost yourself once the sport is over. Right. Because now with the sport, you develop those hard skills, like those time management skills that the normal person takes forever to learn. Like you've done it. You've had to get up early in the morning and do, you know what I'm saying? It's hard for me to be late now because it's like, dang, if you were late in football, you getting it. Like it's a punishment.
Might not play, depends.
You know what I'm saying? But even as when you become a leader of the team, it's like, I have to set the example. So I'm so used to getting to places early. I'll show up to a birthday party like 30 minutes. With us, like show up whenever you want. But I'm the type of person, because I still have like those same principles from playing football all my life. It's like that. So that's what I heard from you when you said principle. It was just like, that's what we're trying to tell people.
Exactly. Principles. It's a foundation, man. You can build on that.
Yeah, man.
So Ev, let's get in transition real quick. Tell us a little bit more about your transition, right? What was it like knowing, like the last time you played football? What was running through your mind at that point?
Well, the very last game, I was just thinking like, okay, after this, I'm preparing for the workouts, the pro days, and trying to put out the fastest 40 time. So I was still thinking I have a chance. I could go all the way. It's a possibility. Right. So I finished that last game, November, finished out my semester in December, moved to Arizona. I lived out in Arizona with my brother. My brother was out there, and his name's Armand Shields. He actually went to the league, so he was already playing. And I went out there, started training, crazy, talk about like schedule and discipline. Went to bed every day at 9 p.m. Had a big smoothie with like, y'all don't think I'm crazy for this, but I used to put like 6 raw eggs, spinach, berries, bananas, drink that joint.
So you were yoked up, literally yoked up.
I know
No
people
pun
probably looking at
intended.
this joint sideways right now, like,
That's
what?
where it come from. The yolk of the egg. That's how you get big. You yolk.
That's how you get big, and
That's where
it's
it
like
comes
pure
from.
nutrient.
Hey.
Work out twice a day. You know, I was at that point where I thought, okay, it's still a possibility. I had a good pro day, but after it was all said and done, I was kind of in that waiting period, and I'm sure like a lot of people who played football and had the possibility going to the next level, it's like a period in time if you don't get drafted that they say, oh, you know, we might call you if a man go down, we might pull you into a practice, and you just kind of waiting for your agent to give you the call and be like, all right, you know, Oakland wants you to come down for a tryout. And you're like, all right, bet. You've been working for it and getting ready for it. But, you know, after that 3 months, did my pro days, I came home, and I was waiting for the call. So I'm like, all right. Agent like, yeah, we got people looking at you. You know, this guy, this team. I'm like, all right, yeah, okay, bet. Getting hyped. But then, you know, month went by. I'm like, all right, 2 months went by. I'm still working out at home, dedicated to it. 3-4 months, no call, no nothing. So talk about controlling what you can control. I was like, well, I can't depend on somebody controlling my life. And I remember just being outside and training. It was guys who were like, at the time, I think I was like 23, 22. There's guys out there like 31 still trying to go to the league. And I'm like, dang, I don't want to end up like that, like waiting for somebody to pull me along.
Right.
So eventually I made the decision like, all right, NFL, nothing. If I can go to the league, then I'm not going to do AFL, CFL. I'm going to get this business life started. Let me see what I can do. And I reached out to my alumni network I wanted to get in marketing, majored in communications and psychology. But those two came together and I was like, okay, I could get in marketing because that's what it's all about is communications and psychology, essentially.
Right.
Break down marketing. So I reached out to the guy. He was at a big marketing company somewhere in Boston. And he was like, yeah, we don't hire, you know, people with no experience. You know, you need like 2-3 years at least. And then is that conundrum, you know, entry level, but we want you to have 2-3 years experience. You're like, how you entry level when you want me to have 2-3 years?
Right.
And
Exactly.
so that was tough. But he was like, here's what you can do. He was like, why don't you start off in sales? And that would actually be a nice transition into marketing. He was like, you get to interface with the customer. You're starting at like that ground level. You build up some experience and a lot of the skills are transferable. So I said, okay, you know, sounds like a good idea. And I was trying to figure out, I was like, what should I sell? And at the time I saw an ad for like BMW car sales.
Right.
So I'm like, man, I was like, sell a BMW. If I could sell a BMW, man, I could drive a BMW. So I'm getting hyped. I'm like, oh, driving a BMW at 20, 23, 24. Oh, I'm about to be lit. So
it sounds like you used a lot of opportunities, man, because you had your psychology background that you got from undergrad, but then you also saw, I guess, what somebody else didn't and how they kept training for something that they weren't. I don't want to say they didn't make it, but it wasn't at the level that they wanted to. Right. And then you made that transition over. So that sounds like that was a good point at which you utilize some of your tools to then get over there to BMW.
Absolutely. I think that's a profound thing that you point out too. A lot of times you don't have to go through all the trials and tribulations. Mm-hmm. You can sometimes learn from the people around you. You can see the future in whatever you're working on or on what you or who you want to be. Mm-hmm. You know, whether that's okay, I want to be a marketing guru. Okay, I reach out to a marketing guru. Mm-hmm. He's where I already want to be. What did you do to get there? Ask those questions, you know. And similarly, you can see people in your neighborhood who chose a different path than you, right? Mm-hmm. You can see how that turned out. It's like, okay, I could go down the paths that John, the dealer, went down, but I saw how that ended up. Like he was on top, mm-hmm. like a couple years ago, right after high school, he was on top, killing it. But now he not, you know, and you see how that play out, and you're like, you could make that decision based off of what other people go through. You don't got to touch the stove and get burnt all the time.
For sure.
Yeah,
I think that is an important point.
That's key, because
yeah,
it's hard to let go of a dream you had once forever, right? Like, you know, when we're kids, what we see on TV is what we want to become, especially in our community, and it's kind of hard to come off of that, because that's all my mind has been wrapped around. And for you to pivot and realize, like, okay, I'm not about to waste my life, you know, chasing, you know, a childhood dream. I'm just going to shift my mindset and shift my dream, right? And that was kind of the process that I was in, but it took me 3 years to get there. It seemed like it took you a little bit shorter.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it was like just super easy for me. Like I was like, all right, well, ain't gonna do that, and I just switch. Like little cartoon. But it was hard, bro. Like it was hard for me to say it even out loud. Like I think I just felt stuck. You know what I mean? Like it was nothing I could do to further put myself out there than I already did. Like I felt like I went I'm gonna say balls to wall, but I'm gotta change that. But I went all out. I did everything that I could possibly do. So I felt like it wasn't a need for me to, like, I put it all out there. I'm good. Like in my heart, I feel like I didn't give up on my dream. More so, it didn't work out for me. Like it wasn't in my cards type of deal. But even then, it's like an identity crisis. And I was talking to my brother and like other people who play sports about it. It's like an identity crisis, right? Like all your life, you're known as the athlete, you're the baller. People, your homies think you're gonna make it. Your parents, your family, your friends, and even if they don't, in your mind, you thinking that they do. You know what I mean? And that's something in psychology called like the spotlight effect. You thinking people thinking about you, but nobody thinking about you really. Nobody care. Nobody even remembers what you wore yesterday, for real. But you like, oh, I gotta wear a different outfit today. Otherwise, they're gonna make fun of me. I wore the same shoes or something. Nobody remembers that. And it's the same thing that we embody. Like, we like, oh, they care about this, they care about this. Because externally, you've been getting all this this praise and hype since you were 9 years old, sometimes younger, all the way through. Everybody knows you for being an athlete. So when it's time to make that transition, it's hard, bro. It's like you're no longer who you say you are. You know what I mean? I'm a football player. I'm a baller. Like you just went through life. I mean, I did. I was like, I'm a baller. Like that. Oh, you went to college? Yeah, I go to college, but I'm a baller for real, for real. I mean, that's not the mindset you should have, but it's that confidence that even makes you perform on the field, really. So that's the mindset I had taken on. And
you gotta kind of. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, yeah. I was just saying that's the mindset I took on, and it was a period even while I was selling cars and prior to that where I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like long days, like meditating, literally in the dark. Like that's when I discovered that book, Think and Grow Rich. I read way more than I ever read, even throughout school. Started reading books because I didn't know what to turn to or who to turn to who was experiencing it. Or I'm sure it was other athletes and stuff experiencing, but you just feel like you're alone in it. You're like, dang, and you feel embarrassed by it a little bit too. You know, so you don't want to tell them like, dang, I ain't making that joint really hit me. You want to be like, man, that, you know, it didn't work out all good. You know, I'm keeping moving. That, at least that's what I was saying. But really, I was hurt. So I was just reading and figuring out, okay, if I'm not successful in one thing, it can't be over. It has to be another way that one can be successful. So that's where like those self-help books and Think and Grow Rich and How to Win Friends and Influence People, I started reading all those books, and it really set me up for success, especially at a young age. Because I had that crisis so early. You know, a lot of people have midlife crisis. I feel like as an athlete, you go through like, if you don't fulfill your dream, even if you do go to the NFL, post NFL, a lot of guys probably experience that, but you're in a way better position, right? You financially all set, but it's like your whole life, you identify as an athlete. What are you going to do now?
Right.
So having those tools and that crisis so early on, I think it helped me be like, you can adapt to anything. Just go, know that you got it in you. It's in you. You already built for it. You know what I mean? So
for sure. And I mean, one thing that's kind of why I picked out the quote, like people don't understand, like reading the book, like even just sitting down on Audible, right? And listening to a book, it takes time. And like that time is almost the equivalent to lifting weights and running and working out. You're training your mental muscle to deal with certain feelings and emotions and learning how to navigate. Because I know Dom reads a lot as well. You see what I'm saying? So I know there's a lot of people that read. I'm not saying the readers did athletics, but athletes that read, I tend to notice that the ones that were more productive and went a little further are able to read more because they had that want to continuously work on themselves. You see what I'm saying? That's all working is, working on yourself. You ain't doing nothing else but working on yourself when you read. Outside of maybe Harry Potter books, which even then I'd argue that's growing a kid's mind because it's growing their imagination. That's working on themselves. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like that's really a thing of working on yourself. So I think that's good. Sounds like you took that in conjunction with your past knowledge to kind of get through that feeling of, okay, I know I need to move on. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people going to be like, how did he do it? How did he do it? He worked on himself. What did he do? What did he do? He read a book. He read a book. And that's not what everybody needs to do, but I highly suggest it.
Yeah.
At some level, definitely read a book to enrich yourself for sure.
Yeah, one thing I would, I always say, especially within the social media era, it's like social media has taught us something, right? When you're going through that transition, you can always reinvent yourself. Like you can literally make your page whatever you want it to be and show people whatever you want to show them. And everybody will think that's who you are. And that's okay. Sometimes you'll end up thinking that's who you are. And I was like, yo, you can apply this to life too, right? You can really reinvent yourself. You can really, like I did. I didn't read a book in high school and college.
Tell me about it.
You know what I'm saying? And I would, I will say the influence of Nipsey Hussle and certain public figures that we would see, they made reading books cool. So I started reading and trying to make that cool. I wanted to be a different person as I grew into my 30s. So I was like, you know what, let me reinvent myself. I'm going to actually read these books and change my vernacular, change the way that I speak. Let me say some words that may make a kid be like, what that mean? So I can tell them what it actually means. You know what I'm saying? So now they're looking at me like, oh, this cool bald head NFL player actually read books and know words that's going to be on the SATs. But I could tell you, prior to going to college, I had an 8th grade reading level as a freshman in college. But I decided to reinvent myself, and that's a part of the transition that I heard you say. You were like, man, I had to figure out doing something else. You know what I'm saying? It's like I had to kind of go another way because now that football was over, I thought I lost my identity, but you basically said you reinvented yourself by doing sales and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, like, do the two core, like, do you use what you used in football, like the same principles and same aspects in what you currently do? Like,
So go ahead.
No, I guess I explained it because I didn't know if you understood the question.
Yeah. No, you're asking me, do the principles still apply today? What I learned in football and what I currently do, and what I was doing when I first started off.
So basically, tell us about those transferable skills. Like, hey, I did this in football, and I actually took it and did it, in my new career.
Yeah, I would say the way that athletes should think about how skills as an athlete and skills that you bring into the workplace transfer is it's a lot of synergy there. So I'll start with one. you work with people on the football field from all types of backgrounds, especially in college and high school. You meet people who low income, high income, people who are white, Black, Indian, Asian, all types of people, all different walks of life. And you have to achieve one thing. The one thing is to be on the same page and win the game. Mm-hmm. You put that in the corporate space, and let's talk about sales. You have one goal, you have a sales team. It's going to be people from all types of backgrounds that you have to be able to communicate with and collaborate with to do one thing. It's to sell cars, in my case. Or it may be in the marketing space, it may be to roll out a campaign and make sure that that campaign is successful. But the bottom line is that collaboration, and you've been doing that a lot longer than a lot of other people as an athlete. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I don't think we highlight enough, as an athlete going into corporate workplace. Sometimes it doesn't even come top of mind to the person that's interviewing you. But when you highlight that in an interview, that really helps you stand out, because although you may be young and you don't have a lot of corporate experience, you're like, hey, but I've been working on teams since I was 9 years old, mm-hmm. working on to achieve one goal. And if you became a captain or you led that team, that's even better, because now you like, yeah, I had people who reported to me, if you will, or people that's who led and help achieve goals. Like the young guys, they used to come in to the young DBs, we take them under our wing. Like, hey, man, why don't you come watch film with me? Hey, let's go get some extra sets in the weight room. So you encouraging them, and by encouraging them, you're making the team better. And that's the same thing you can do in the workplace as well. Hey, man, why don't you talk to a couple more customers today? I'm about to make these calls with you. Let's get it. Let's see who can make the most calls. Let's go, And then you make it a competition, make it fun. And we're used to doing that as athletes. And you could translate that rate in that space. And one other thing I want to highlight is being coachable. A lot of people can't take feedback. You don't realize that outside of the athlete world. Like, you're like, man, my coach told me to get in a zone, and he yelled at me. But you don't take how he said it. You listen to what he said. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the same thing you do in the corporate space. They say, hey, man, your numbers are a little low. We need you to bring that up. Hey, look, no problem. What do you suggest I do to bring those numbers up? You do X, Y, and Z. A lot of other people are like, man, what do you mean my numbers is low? All right. Are they getting their feelings like, oh, man, he told me my numbers low. I don't know what to do now. Start having a crisis. But if you're an athlete, you've been yelled at, you've been praised, you've been given feedback, and you've had to implement that feedback right now. You go in at halftime. How many times have y'all gone in at halftime and your coach bring out the whiteboard? All right, we practiced this all week. Now we're going to move you over here, put the X over there. We're going to move this guy on the inside, and it's going to be a sack every play. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, okay. You got to go out
flexible.
there.
Flexible.
Yeah. So
but even bigger, the one where he jumped down your throat. He jumped down your throat for 20 minutes, and now, all right, let's go outside. Now you gotta play.
Right.
You can't fold up. You gotta hit. They're about to kick the ball off and offense up first. What you gonna do?
Right. Like, tough skin, man. You need that.
Have it.
Yeah.
You gotta have it, man. For sure. I know for sure that's something that I took a transitional piece. You definitely gotta have a level of humility, like you said. Because not everyone's gonna come at you with the warm and fuzzies trying to correct you. Right. Mm-hmm. And you can't go to your higher up saying so-and-so yelled at me this way, because you probably did something wrong. And if you expose so-and-so, you really gonna leave yourself exposed.
Expose yourself.
So it's like you gotta really humble yourself to be like, okay, this person said this, but I got hired for the job. So I'm adequate enough to do this job, or someone thought I was. So let me see what this person's trying to convey to me, and however they conveyed it, and apply it to the position so you can keep going and making money.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, man. So tell us what you're doing right now. Like, give us a inside scoop on exactly what it is, like your job is, you know what I'm saying? Because it's unique, right? Marketing has shifted in a sense, like with the way, technology has advanced, and how we see things nowadays is a total cultural change Tell us, a little bit about what you do.
So I was in marketing up until I did my MBA. So I'll just backtrack real fast. So after my sales, I went into a marketing like startup company in DC where I worked with the Kroger, Volkswagen, and it was funny because in car sales I ended up working at a Volkswagen brand. It came full circle. Then I started working with Volkswagen America.
Mm-hmm. Did you work with Volkswagen America in your sales position, or was that like you worked with Volkswagen America through another capacity?
So I worked for Volkswagen America in my sales position through a dealership.
Mm-hmm.
Then fast forward, when I got the marketing job, I worked for Volkswagen America through an ad agency.
Just wanted to clarify for the listeners.
Yeah.
Like, he said he worked for Volkswagen twice. It's like, no.
Yeah.
He worked for the brand itself and took the knowledge he had there and then carried it over to a position where they were a client.
Exactly.
Am I right? Am I following correctly?
Yep. Where they were a client at this point. And in between that, I had a couple of sales jobs and odd jobs. So there I worked with Volkswagen America, Kroger. We worked with the liquor brand, Sailor Jerry's. And I stayed there for about a year and a half. Then I moved on to another ad agency where Hilton was like my main client, the Hilton brand. So I worked on their curio brands, like small boutique hotels, helped grow their Instagram following from 0 to about like 5K. So that was an experience. Now they're even way higher than that nowadays, but at the time that was like big numbers.
Foundation.
Yeah. And I really took an interest in like digital marketing and marketing analytics. Ended up leaving there, and I did my MBA at University of Maryland, where I then wanted to make the transition to product marketing. So I didn't focus on marketing there. I focused on supply chain. And the reason why I did that is because I figured I had all this experience in the front end of a product. I wanted to understand the back end of the product. So supply chain is like how everything is made, how it gets to where it needs to go, and just have that 360 view of a product. And while I was there, I interned and did a marketing internship at Verizon, where we helped roll out like 5G to consumers. We had to pitch these ideas around that to executives. That was a great experience. And it really took me deeper into the world of technology. So here's the thing. Now I actually work in the consulting space, federal consulting space, where we work on like rolling out projects that help digitally transform different government agencies. Now, marketing still plays a role in that, in a way that you have to. I'm not the most technical person in the room, but I work with very technical people. You have to have knowledge and understanding of the technical aspects of these products and these softwares and things that we're implementing. The cloud, I think we mentioned that pre-show, but you have to have a technical understanding and then be able to put that in a package in which the consumer can understand. And when it comes to social media, when it comes to building your own brand, you have to do the same thing. You may be trying to get in the weeds and telling people like exactly who you are, what you're trying to do, all this stuff, but you have to put it together in a way visually most of the time, and short, to the point captions, understanding, so people can digest your content. And that's the same thing in the space I'm working now. I have to put it in digestible pieces so people can understand it and get it right now, rather than be like, okay, what does this mean? I don't understand. You want to be able to put things in digestible content pieces. So
help us out with the mindset of a company. Pretend like we're a company, right? And we really want to grow our brand via social media. Like what are like the first few steps to build that foundation? Like what should we do as a company?
As a company, I think first you want to build out who you are. You need to come up with like a mission statement, some values, and a overall understanding of who you are. You need to define who you are, because once you come up with that mission statement and the values, you can then create content around those things and almost have buckets of content. So let's say you're a workout or a clothing brand, and you're in sports, and your mantra is to make the best athletes in the world be comfortable at play. You know, that's your mission. That's your overall, that's what you're working for. And then your values is like heart of a champion, encouragement, community. And then you could build out pieces of content around athletes performing the best. Maybe they're on the field, they're working out in the rain, but they still look comfortable, they're still moving and doing their thing, because your job is to make sure the best athletes in the world feel comfortable at play. And it's showing like community, because you got your athlete, you got the people in the background cheering, his teammates cheering for him and things of that nature, all in one piece of content. Now, you're not writing your mission out every single time and writing their values out every single time, but you're giving people a glimpse into your company visually, you know. So that's how you kind of start with it. You want to build out your mission and your values, and then around that you can start creating content pieces. And then the other aspect, okay, how do you grow? One, you got to interact. Social media is a community. You got to interact with people and other brands, influencers. That's a big thing nowadays. And then people who are doing something similar to you, I would say like small companies, you can create something called like a social media pod, where all you have like similar, you all have like a similar theme in which you work on, and you promote and support each other 100%. So whenever you post something, I'm posting your stuff on my page. I'm liking your content. I'm sharing your stuff. You sharing my stuff. And it's like 3, 4, 5. It could be however big you want it to be, but you create like that community and you guys just support each other. And that helps spread the message. It's like a spider web, you know, this person knows and it bounces off and spreads, you know, through.
We definitely want to share the community, man. We want to make sure you get into your bit too, man. Make sure you tell them what you going on, what you got going on right now. I know you mentioned something to us earlier, so we want to give you your time to get it out there and let us, you know, maybe 1 or 2 things that have worked for you in that space.
Right now I've started building out a brand. It's called Dope Fitness. And the way I kind of got into that, during, you know, the lockdowns, during the pandemic, I actually just started, I was like, let me start posting these workouts and what I do. Because a lot of people in the past asked me like, yo, how you stay in shape? What you be doing to stay in shape? How you be working out? And I'm like, all right, let me showcase it. Let me see, put some feelers out there. So I put it on my main Instagram page, and I started posting like the smoothies I was drinking, the supplements I'm taking, some of my workouts. And it was body weight workouts because most of the gyms were closed. So I was like, I figured in this moment, like trying to take advantage of the time, I felt like in this moment, people need to be in the best shape of their lives. Like there's literally a disease that out there that can kill you if you're not in tip-top shape, not tip-top shape, but if you're not healthy, even if you have underlying conditions, anything, but you want to make sure that your immune system is as strong as it could possibly be, and that you as an individual as strong as you can be, because quite frankly, most people were like just sitting inside. And I found myself doing the same thing. So this was kind of a motivator for me. I'm like, all right, well, let me post. Start posting, start getting feedback. People was like, yo, you should make a page. So creating that demand, I made a page. And now it's _fitness. And there, right now, I just post my workouts. I post like funny videos about making smoothies, because I personally think that's one of the best ways to get all your nutrition in like one sitting. Mm-hmm. And some of the things that have worked for me is the challenges. I started a burpee challenge where I did like 100 burpees a day for a month. And I showed like it was true. It was true. It was true. But it was like a shock value there too, right? 100 burpees, that's crazy. You know, people looking at me like I'm crazy. And I dared people to join me. It was like a few people here and there. But
did 100 straight?
Yeah, 100 straight. Not 100 straight, but like I did.
I was about to say, you did like 25.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm about to say,
but still, man, it's like
but 25, I breaking it up in sets is a lot better than doing 100 straight.
That's because y'all in shape. And then break it up in fives.
Break it up in fives. You will be there all day.
Nah, that's inspiring though.
That is inspiring.
I'm actually thinking about doing something similar. Because a lot of people ask me for workouts, and I was a personal trainer at one point, but I love this space. Don't get me wrong, I love it. It just wasn't me. It's not. It's you know what I mean. It's not me. I love working out by myself. I think that's the problem. Like I have to work out by myself, and I hate when people ask me 99 questions about what I'm doing. Like this is for me. This you can't. You know what I'm saying? I get in my zone when I work out. I don't want to be bothered.
Why are you benching?
And then the complaining. One of the things I hated about being a personal trainer was the fact that people lied. People will lie to you. And I'm like, yo, I know this works. I know if you eat this
this amount of
and you're doing the workouts that I have you doing, you're going to lose weight.
Yeah.
And it's like, I said, well, what you eat this week? Oh, I only had a salad.
It's always a salad.
If you look in the car, they got a McDonald's bag in the back of that bitch.
Right. Like you can't. You cannot cheat the scale. You
cannot cheat. Your body don't lie, man. And that's the thing. Like it's the same thing for life. What you put in is what you get out, man. Exactly. If you man, I worked so hard for this, man. I thought I was going to get that promotion. You like, did you really work that hard for it? Did you do that extra content that your manager said might be a good look? Did you do it? Really ask yourself those questions. And that's why I love working out too, is because it don't lie. Like, oh, you said you did you said you're getting better. You said you're getting faster, stronger. Okay. What were you benching 3 months ago? Or what was your mile count 3 months ago? Oh, it was 7 minutes. What is it now? 7 minutes. What? 7 minutes. Oh, it's 7 minutes still. What makes you think that you started working harder if you still exactly the same point you was at last time? If you worked a little bit harder, or if you had put in the proper work, your mile time would be a little bit faster. And it's no way around it. There's no way around. Maybe you got injured or something. That's a different story. But if no injuries or no lying things happen, and you still at the same point that you were at before, something need to change in your regimen. Maybe you need to go harder. Maybe you need to work out differently. I don't know, but it don't lie. Your body don't lie.
Crap.
You eat crap.
You look like crap. You're gonna look like crap.
Hey man, look. If you keep a positive mindset though, you're gonna look like good crap. Hey.
like a good bag of dick.
Hey, that joint look nice though. I'm not gonna lie. It smell,
it's shaped weird, but it looked nice.
It looked nice. It looked good on you.
Man, but that's it, man. Like that's why we chose the quote, man. Like the hard work you putting in, you talking about on multiple levels, man. And we've had opportunity to sit here, get it in with you, talk it up, chop it up on the many places that you have worked. And hopefully people can understand and see that. If not, you might want to rewind because he gave a lot of knowledge. So just hit the little rewind button. You'll be all right. Just go back.
Yeah.
Yo, so Ev, man, tell us where we can find you on all your platforms, man. Market yourself right now.
Find me at Ev Dope _fitness. That's main page right now that I'm working on building. There'll probably be some offerings that come out later down the line, but right now, just enjoy watching workouts, learning about fitness through the workouts that I do, as well as like the smoothies I post. I post like an ingredient of the day where I go into detail about how it's beneficial for the body. So that's like a passion project of mine. And you could reach me on there, or I'll also have my email up there. I think it's avdopefitness@gmail.com. So reach out, let me know what y'all think, what you want to see. I'm building, working on it. So it's a pleasure being here with you guys. Appreciate you for having me.
So, I appreciate you for coming on, man. Glad we got it done.
Yes, sir.
Already.
All clear. All clear. Well, man, yo, Ev, bro. So, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. The first episode was a little rambly, but we got it together this one because we all clear.
We all clear.
But yo, man, we definitely gonna feature you on the IG page, give you a shout out and all of the, anytime you post those ingredients, we definitely want to let our followers know, hey, it pays to be healthy, right? And here's some of the things that you can incorporate into your diet to make yourself better. So,
hey Don, what's that IG page they can go to? How they get that?
You could go follow us at Players in Transition. That's it. Players in Transition on IG. And also we got a Facebook page at Players in Transition. And you can go follow myself at DW Inspires.
Or me, Eddie Chef, EDDIESHHEPP. 2 D's, 2 H's, 2 P's. Eddie Chef, all one word.
He gonna have to fix that.
Hey man, look, it's Eddie Chef. Hey man, it's original, bro. EDDIESHHEPP.
2 D's, 6 H's. He started doing it again. Hey yo, man. Well, that's it. That's the Players in Transition podcast, man. This was fun, bro. I love to laugh, yo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. I'm Coach Dom.
I'm Coach Ed.
Peace.
Peace.